Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Michael for Spirit Comics. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, please do subscribe and smash that notification bell so hopefully you don't miss any of the new uploads. If you're a returning subscriber, please do comment that you've seen this video and that that you're getting my notifications because that is very important to me. And if you enjoy this review, please like it and share it with others so they can enjoy it as well. And like I said, don't forget to comment. This is part of the 25 days of comic book reviews. On the 17th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a beautiful Superboy story. This is the Adventures of Superboy number 12. And I received this as a Christmas present this past year. It's not in perfect condition, but it's in good condition. Now the cover alone is curious because you see Superboy standing there on the ground, while everyone else there in Kansas is flying. So what's that about? Well, let's get into the Adventures of Superboy number 12. It says Christmas Wishes, so we know this is done during the Christmas holiday. Now, we open up with young Clark Kent. Yes, this is young Clark Kent, not John Kent, but young Clark Kent, hiding the tractor away from his paw because he I think, let's see, what was it? He repaired the tractor for his paw, and he didn't want him to see it. And he says, "Could have sworn I saw that boy come out of the barn." And so he comes down and says to Clark, "I should have known when you were young. You always turned up in the rafters. Wish you weren't when you weren't in the clouds, that is." And so that is, he says to meet his mom because they're going over to a friend's house. And I really can't pronounce the name of the woman, but it's a Glenview trailer park. That much I was able to get. And you can tell that this is an old comic because this is printed on newsprint, not the shiny stuff. This was before variants, I'm pretty sure. And that Martha is exchanging pleasantries with the other woman, and this is something significant. In the DC universe, there is two characters known as Sugar and Spike. Way back in the day, even before this series, Adventures of Superboy, Sugar and Spike apparently had their own comic book. And decades later, try about 2 years ago or so, they appeared in what was a short-lived run, a series called Legends of Tomorrow that happened to coincide with the release of the TV show by the same name. And that's Sugar and Spike as little kids. Anyway, they did something that upset one of the neighbors. And he's a Spanish-speaking neighbor, so I don't know what this word means right here. Some of the words are in Spanish, but not all. Malcriados. Get away from there. Now, he happens to love the garden which he keeps, and he's very protective of it. And then he falls, and he almost hits the ground, but Clark catches him. So they take him back into his trailer, And he's very protective of that as well, because he doesn't want anybody in his trailer. And he doesn't want to go to a hospital, so he tells them all to go. He doesn't want anybody there. And Clark seems to notice, because he says here, wow, look at this ceremonial masked religious icons, Indian tapestries. This is some collection. So he noticed there was something a little bit different about this man. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but there is a little bit of confusion about this story. But I'll get to that in a bit. Now he lays down and he pulls out this weird amulet and says something in Spanish. Mi mirro del calor. And he goes to sleep. And then when he does, all sorts of strange things start happening. This is downtown Smallville, later on. That's Lana Lang and walking with Clark Kent. And they're admiring this statue that they used to play around when they were kids. He says, remember climbing all over this statue when we were 7? She says, yeah, Officer Truman always chasing us away. Yeah, I was so scared. He'd throw us in jail. And then something happens to this statue. Because down here, it says, what in Sam Hill's name's been done to this town? So over the page, we see the statue has come to life. And it's quite surprising. So you see that the statue is actually sweating, perspiring. And it's strange, not only because the statue is talking, the statue is moving, but the statue is perspiring in December. But it doesn't stop there. Let's see. Maybe I skipped the page. No, I didn't. This was actually back when pages were numbered. Yeah, I have page 8 and then page 9. Yeah. Ads were not counted. And the statue's asking that he'd like to know what's become of Smallville. And then this little boy is running out in front of this truck. Lan Lang saves him by doing the impossible. And she grabs him and just holds him against her chest while she lets the vehicle smash against her. And this is what happens. Look, that's what happens to happen to the vehicle because she just stood there. Clark says, first the small statue, because his name was Small. And now you? Maybe I should call Professor Peterson. And she asks the kid if he's doing okay. And then his balloon flies away. He says, my balloon! Want it! Hey, stop squirming. So he goes off and flies after his balloon. Lana says, maybe I didn't wake up this morning. And Clark remarks, maybe this is a mass hallucination? And so the boy comes back down. He got the balloon. Then over the page, we see, and it says, in the hours that follow, Clark is just going nuts because he says, this makes no sense. Everybody in Smallville can fly, bend steel, cook food with their eyes. They've all got superpowers just like mine. Maybe I'm radiating super ions or something, charging the atmosphere? But that still wouldn't explain the small statue turning into an animatronic something or other. I may be in Kansas, but this is no place like home. Ah! And then Lana starts flying. So, he doesn't have to worry about risking his secret identity since everybody's flying. He can just be considered another affected citizen of Kansas. And then he goes home. And it's affected his parents as well. Ma and Pa Kent. He ripped the tree straight out of the ground with his bare hands, and he's decorating it at lightning speed. And he's in the kitchen. Clark says, "Ma, you'll burn yourself," because she's handling this tray of cookies with the bare hand. She says, "Don't be silly. I can't even feel the heat," because she's affected too. And he is getting concerned. Because Clark's thinking, this sudden outbreak of superpowers, I feel like the Grinch thinking there's something definitely wrong here. And there's something worse to come. So back over at the trailer park, that same old man, that's a Spanish man, has been sleeping and listening to a show about or an infomercial about scrap metal and auto parts. So then over the page, we see this come to life. A monster made out of scrap metal and auto parts. It gets really weird. And then people start losing their powers. But this thing stays together. That's the weird part. And this was before the Superwoman comic book, which came out more than a year ago. So Lana Lang was a Superwoman at some point in time before, modern day DC Comics. So he comes back and lands in front of everybody in his civilian clothes, and they think nothing of it. And see, Lana Lang is under the impression that he is just one of the affected humans. Apparently, that's what she's under that impression, at least, according to this comic book. Because she sees this machine going wild. And someone says, "I think it's trying to eat Smallville." And Lana says, "Clark, you've still got your powers. Still got." Meaning, she thinks that he received his powers at the same time she did. Just a few hours ago. And then there's that statue of the Mr. Small, whatever his name was. And so he is off flying in his civilian clothes because nobody would think to look at him twice. Never mind that everybody else has lost their powers. So he looks around at the trailer park and sees this glow coming from one of the trailers. Clark, what are you doing? Come back, Lana says. And over the page, he goes into the trailer of that man that laid down some hours ago who got all upset because of Sugar and Spike. And then he comes to, and he's holding the amulet. And he says, "What happened in town? You must tell me." Apparently he's not surprised. Clark says, superpowers, talking statues, junkyard monsters. I don't know where to start. And he says, the amulet I was given by Bruja and Oaxaca as payment for a favor. I should have kept this out of harm's way. And he says, we will go into town. And and I looked it up, and that's Spanish for boy. But first, a cup of coffee. I'm no good without a cup of Java to start my day. So they go into town. And he uses the amulet to stop this junkyard monster. Not Clark, because he doesn't do a thing. It's a weird story. Then they see snow come out of nowhere because it hadn't been snowing. And then Lana notices the suit. Clark, that's Superboy's costume under your shirt? He says, Lana, everything starts to make sense now, she says. And the old man says, basta. The other life seems to be important to you, Nina. Now she won't remember. He does something to erase Lana's memory of the events. Nobody will remember. And apparently, I'm not sure if he did. I don't think he did anything to Clark's memory. But it was really weird because he goes back home and his parents don't remember a thing. Christmas morning, he's in bed and then he looks out with his X-ray vision to Smallville to see if anything's wrong. Nothing's wrong. So he goes downstairs and he sees this little snow globe with a miniature junkyard monster in it. And one of his parents says, "What is it, son?" And he says, "The stuff that dreams are made of, I guess." The end. Now, the artwork, I think it's wonderful. I mean, I'm sure people will say, "Oh, it's nothing like today's artwork." Well, that's exactly right. It's nothing like today's artwork. But in my opinion, it's better because it's silly. It's not so serious. And the story is a little strange, but quirky and funny at the same time. And it's about part of Clark Kent that really doesn't exist anymore. That hasn't been touched on for a long, long time. His life as a young man growing up in Smallville before he ever went to Metropolis. And it happens during December, during Christmas time. So this was a fun story. It was a little strange, but it was also fun. I enjoyed it. I recommend that if you can pick this up somewhere, that you do. I mean, you might not get it for cover price. Depending on where you look, you might get it for 50 cents or you might get it for a little bit more than $1. And something else that I thought was interesting. If you notice up here in the corner, it has "as seen on TV." Well, I'm guessing at one time there was a cartoon called The Adventures of Superboy, which I don't recall. And this was put out in January of 91. I thought it was the 80s. My mistake. So apparently, at some point in time during the late 80s, early 90s, there was a cartoon called The Adventures of Superboy. I'm guessing. I would like to have seen that when it was out. So, do you all have this particular comic book? Did you buy it? Did you buy it at some point? Did you like it or not like it? Leave your comments down below. And if you enjoyed this review, please like it and share it with others so they can enjoy it as well. Thank you for stopping by. I am Michael for Spirit Comics. Till next time, true readers.